Hi ladies and gentlemen, today's April 13th, 2014, and Brandon and I are very exhausted. As a matter of fact, it's almost embarrassing to make this video with the shape that we're in. I haven't uploaded, but I'm in the process now of uploading just one of the videos that we did while we were gone. And I feel kind of bad that we have to interject this one in here, but it's absolutely necessary because something hasn't made sense to us, and it's really been puzzling. Sheriff Gillespie, the Las Vegas Clark County Sheriff, was the one who said that he had negotiated with the BLM and that the BLM was going to leave. Right after he gave his speech at the demonstration area there in Bunkerville, we did learn that there was an MRAD, one of those armored vehicles, at an exit, just one exit south from where we were. We also found out that there was a SWAT team there. Now, the excuse for them being there was that they were there to keep the peace. Well, there was really no necessity for that if they were going to release the cattle. Now, after the hour that they had agreed, the Bundys had said, we'll give you an hour and we need those cows released. And the cowboys were there at the BLM corral area, and the cows weren't released. And finally, Clive and Bundy said, okay, well, they haven't released the cows, so everybody go down there and let's pose the demonstration right there. Now, this is interesting on a number of counts, and I don't want to touch all of those right now, but this looks like a very well-planned, intentional shedding of blood. And I know you don't know what I mean by that, but let's look at the circumstances. Sheriff Gillespie said, we're going to release the cattle and the BLM is going to leave. Yet, at the same time he said that, he has an MRAD and the SWAT team not very far away. The people go down there. In fact, the BLM will not release them, and the sheriff's deputy in charge, a Sheriff Jenkins, says that it's not going to happen. Whoa, what's going on here? The BLM agents are in the middle of all of this. You're young men, whether they're Americans or not, it doesn't matter right now. The fact of the matter is they were placed in a position where they're going to suffer horribly because of the circumstances, because the people in Bunkerville were promised that this release of the cattle was going to occur. It didn't. The sheriff had an MRAD, the SWAT team on the side, not to keep the peace, obviously, because that wouldn't be necessary in the circumstances. So what would happen is that they refused to release the cows. Hate to keep repeating myself. As I said, I'm very tired. We've been up for hours and hours and days. So what's happening here? I'm going to have Brand explain his feeling on this, and it's the same as mine ever since this happened. There was something else that was going on, and this is it. We think that under the circumstances, and I even talked to the Bundys about this, under the circumstances, why was that MRAD and that SWAT team there when supposedly the cows were to be released by the BLM, and then it was refused by a sheriff's deputy, Sheriff Jenkins, an underling of Sheriff Gillespie himself? We think that they actually wanted this to turn into a bloodletting so that they could do whatever they're going to do. Because Sheriff Gillespie has been on this Southern Poverty Law Center's board for a long time. He's also part of the DHS board as well. I was cheering him at the time. I was thinking it was great, but it just didn't make sense, all this information that was coming into us. And now we're pretty sure that this was designed to be a false flag, disgusting bloodletting of BLM agents who would be compromised and betrayed, and the citizens of Bunkerville and those who were demonstrating also would be betrayed. It's really looking like that. None of this makes any sense otherwise. So that's where we're going with this. We're thinking that this was an attempt to have this turn into a really dangerous, sad loss for everybody involved, and that it would give the government a reason to react accordingly. I'm going to break this here and give it over to Brandon and let him give his rendition of this. Like I said, we're both very tired, so we're trying to make it a team effort. I hope you understand what we're saying here. In other words, Gillespie's move was not honest. It was an attempt to cause, in fact, an armed confrontation with casualties and deaths on both sides, primarily to portray the BLM officers out there, and that's horrendously disgusting. Okay, here's Brand.
Hello, folks. As Roy was just saying, we are extremely stressed out. We were there for a week, sleeping in horrible conditions, bugs biting us at the night, sleeping on the ground, very little sleep, out in the sun all day. But, and please bear with us, bear with me, I pray. On the way back, we were trying to savor this victory, but both of us just had this, we had a gut feeling something, it didn't make sense. And the more we both continued to think about it, it just seemed to open up to us what was going on. In the scriptures it talks about the serpent is the most subtle beast in the forest. And until you understand what you're dealing with, you're never, ever going to be able to keep up with it. I was there at the moment, actually not just the moment. Roy and I have been there from day one. We've been involved on the ground level, face to face, and you might say weapon to weapon with these people. We had guns drawn on us at point blank range. We felt it was over with. We really felt that we were going to bite the dust. I totally expected it. I felt like it was just the grace of God that kept us from getting killed. But having said that, something kept telling me, don't glory in this. There's something that's not right. And that God, when was it? It was yesterday. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. We had these 20 BLM agents dead to rights. It was just a matter. It would have been a slaughter.
They were in a kill zone.
They were in an absolute kill zone. They had no way out. The militia agents, militia that were working with us, these guys are good. And you know what? I think the feds know how good they are. Extremely proficient. And we had them in a kill zone. They had no way out. I don't care what the media tells you. I was there, point blank range, on the spot.
500 militia members armed with various weapons.
We were basically armed to the teeth. Everything that you could imagine. We had 20. Think about that. 20 BLM agents on the ground in front of us. Basically no place to go. Hiding behind a few cars. Those cars are going to blow up. Or the rounds are going to go right through those cars. Those guys are dead. 30 seconds into this, they are all dead. Now, in my life and experience, I've learned that everything is not gray. Everything's not black and white. There's always this gray area. Not everybody's good. Not everybody's bad. These are young men. I think they were recruited to be slaughtered.
Whether foreign individuals or not, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Their lives are important.
It doesn't matter. We are brother's keeper. And these are young men, and they were fearful. You want to know how fearful they were? They left everything, left SUVs. They left their generators running. They left sophisticated, expensive equipment on the ground right then and there. They begged for an escort out. Because you want to know what? You want to know why? They figured it out at the last second they had been betrayed. They figured it out at the last second they were going to be slaughtered. They were a blood sacrifice. Excuse me.
That is the only explanation for Gillespie having that SWAT team and that MRAD down at that other area. There is no.
The SWAT team is at the other end here. It's not even there to protect those young men. Okay? It was there to protect his contingency, the basis of his power. It wasn't there to protect those BLM agents.
Or the citizens who were demonstrating, either one.
Yeah. And those agents I've never seen so much inability or unprofessionalism. You know, I was laughing at them for a while there. I mean, and I know they probably think they're pretty good. They're not, and they were set up. I am absolutely 100% convinced they were set up to be a slaughter. You know what happens if those guys are slaughtered? That opens a door for the full force of the United States government to come into the state of Nevada and kill whoever they want to kill, to slaughter whoever they want to slaughter. That gives them the okay. People, we got to get this word out. We are dealing with sociopaths. They're almost beyond understanding. I'm so glad, I thank God, that we followed our guts.
We followed the feelings of God. We were absolutely tuned in to our faith and our hope that the Creator would keep us all well. And that's the only thing that got us through this, the only thing.
Because, you know, Roy and I weren't just concerned for our side. Yeah, we've been abused. We've been browbeat. We've been mishandled by these supposedly, I can't even think, we're so exhausted, but forces that are supposed to be there for us. You know, the government's supposed to be a good thing. The law enforcement is supposed to be a good thing. Yeah, we want to believe that. And we want to believe that we had isolated the evil BLM. That's what we wanted to believe. There were so many things, and it was from the very first day, the very first incident, that I went back and I talked to Roy. It didn't feel.
It's not adding up.
It's not adding up. You know, yeah, it was like, I don't know how to explain it except for it just didn't add up. You all have been there. You know what I'm talking about. Something just doesn't resonate. That last day, I'm telling you, when I sat there and I watched 20 young men ready to be slaughtered by 500 militia, I looked around and I was like, I couldn't feel good about it. And I was praying to God that there was not going to be any shots fired, and God answered our prayers. He came, there was no shots fired. But you know what? That other side was not praying for that. I'm going to tell you, they were not praying for that. They were hoping. They were hoping that a shot would be fired.
That they had manipulated this thing so that it would happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
Otherwise, the actions of Sheriff Gillespie do not make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Even on the news media, almost none of them got it right. Even when I try to talk to them and try to tell them and educate them, Roy and I both, very rarely will we talk to CNN, or very rarely will we talk to NBC or ABC, because we know they're going to spin it. At least they're going to attempt to spin it. But at this time, we thought, hey, you know what? America needs to know about this. We have nothing to hide. Our heart's in the right place. We're doing the right thing for America. And even with that, even with all that, it hit us. We have been undermined by an extremely sophisticated, educated, knowledgeable, evil presence.
And the only thing that kept it from happening was God himself who intervened, because those geese flying over during all of that was a sign. 2,000 geese flying over.
Actually, 2,500 estimate.
Yes,
the people that were living there, people who lived there all their life told me they've never seen that at any time. Not only did they not go up and down the river, but they were flying at a time that they never fly. They came over us and circled at least 3 times. Anybody who knows anything about Canada geese, they just don't do that. They avoid you like the plague. And I've been a waterfowl hunter all my life. I looked at that. Roy said, that's a sign from God. Isn't that what you said?
I said it was God's Air Force.
It was God's Air Force. and there was V. Another guy on the side of me said, victory, victory, victory. And we were all pumped up. Yeah, this is great, wonderful sign for God. I've never seen that before in my life. So we have all these wonderful things, and I don't want to spoil it. Pride is man's greatest enemy. It really is. I really wanted to revel in this. We had the feds on the run for once. I can't do it. I can't do it.
We were all manipulated.
We were manipulated. I almost saw 20 young men slaughtered. Those could have been my brothers. They could be related to those people that were there. They could be your children. These are 20 young men. They were put in a kill zone. There was no way out. I could describe it to you. I've never seen anything like it. It's like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm looking around. We got armed people everywhere. Guns training on these people. I was like, there's no way out for them. They can't even break and run and get to safety because they're going to have to cover 30, 40, 50 yards of soft sand in full gear. I can't even run that in tennis shoes before I get shot. We're 40 yards away, for heaven's sakes. 500 heavily armed militia with some of the most sophisticated rifles, armament that you can go down and buy today. It was over for them. That did not make any sense to me. It was boggling my mind. I was like, how does anybody be that stupid? How does anybody allow themselves to get in that position? And when you add it all up from day one, you look at everything that they were saying, it is so obvious that those young men were set up for the slaughter. And as I said before, you know what happens when the evil, wicked militia just slaughtered 20 young men. They would play it up on the news media. They show their wives and their children and the weeping mothers and everything else. The public sentiment is everything. It is everything. These evil people know how to manipulate you. Get that? That's so important that you understand that. They know how to manipulate you. We were that close. We were that close. All it took is one shot. One shot. And they're all gone. And even if somebody tried to intervene, at the other end, everybody's behind concrete bunkers. You got Metro sitting out. You got the highway patrolman sitting out in the middle of the road. Are you kidding me? They're going to all be slaughtered. You might have had some of the SWAT team left over. Maybe. I think they would have jammed out of there just so they could be witnesses to the slaughter. Probably slapped themselves in the face a few times, give themselves a bruise to make it look like they were involved in it. I cannot tell you how upset I am at this moment. It's partially because of my gullibility. The rest of it because what almost happened. We are a brother's keeper. I love everyone. I know a lot of people know me don't understand that. I do. I love everybody. I want to help everybody. I want to bring this to a peaceful resolution. And when I come this close to being manipulated to killing and slaughtering at least 20 young men, I really believe all those
They would have been dead in 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds at the top.
Yeah. And then you got Metro there out in the street. They have basically no protection at all. They only have sidearms. We got high-powered rifles 40, 50 yards from all these Metro Police Department people. One shot is over with. They're all dead. Do you not think for one moment that the U.S. military had been in here en masse? If you do, you got to rearrange your thinking. The public sentiment would have turned totally against us. We would have bought all evil, demon, right-wing extremists. They would have gone in and, God, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand what would have happened. It doesn't. Okay? America, please understand what you're dealing with. Here's two individuals who have been at this for 30 plus years. We have seen how they work. We know how they work. And I'm embarrassed to say they came within an eyelash of convincing us. They came within an eyelash of duping us. Duping us. And it would have been horrible. It would have been a slaughter. And not to mention all the people on I-15 caught in the middle. You got miles and miles of people in the middle. But between those two spots is approximately, I'm going to say half a mile. How many vehicles and how many of the public can you put within a half a mile? 1,000, 2,000? They'd have been caught in the middle of it. Are you kidding me? And then the military, the Air Force are going to come in probably to take us out and kill everybody in between? This would have been a slaughter. This has been along the 9/11 level at the very least. We're talking thousands of people potentially slaughtered. And these evil, evil people would have been able to move right in. And everybody would, oh, they deserve it. Oh, hey, you know, you got to protect us from these evil right-wing extremes. Please protect us before they get us. You need to give up more rights. I don't know. Yes, I do know. My head is spinning like it's never spun before. My heart is breaking. My heart is breaking because I know what we're dealing with, people. And you got to get the grasp on this. We're not giving up on this. I mean, we're in for it for the duration, completely. We're prepared to lay our lives down, not for any victory. We are prepared to lay our lives down for you, for the Bundys, for America. And thank God we don't have that kind of stupid pride that we couldn't see this. Thank God, you know, that our hearts are in the right place, because otherwise we would have never caught on to
We
this.
kept searching. It didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. All the way back, you know, we're talking 80 miles. It's like, wait a minute, God, you know. I mean, I've been a hunter all my life, and I know when something is in the kill zone. I know it. And this was the biggest kill zone I've ever seen in my life. And there's people, there are 500 people biting at the bit. And for the life of me, yeah, I do understand. God restrained us all. I'm going to give God all the glory.
Actually, Brendan went out there and told all the militia to be calm down and to let this thing be quiet, to let the time go by that was on our side. So actually, Brendan, you kept them from reacting the way that the establishment wanted them to.
Yeah, well, my feelings were I didn't want anybody to get hurt. I jumped in right between my militia, and I jumped right between the Metro Police Department, and immediately went to my militia and said, listen, you know, time is on our side. All we have to do is extend this out as long as we can, and the tide of public opinion will turn on our favor. Okay, and it did. It was. Okay. If I hadn't done that, when I got there, I ran a quarter mile down the road because the traffic had blocked us up. I was with Sheriff Harger. Shane Harger from New Mexico. Nice. We both jumped out and took off running. And I got there. As I got there, I'm looking at my militia, and I'm looking at a Metro Police Department screaming at each other. Metro, actually, I got to give Metro all the credit in the world. I really do.
That's Las Vegas Metro Police Department.
They were extremely disciplined, and they conducted themselves in an extremely professional manner. And not to say anything against my militia. You know, you got to understand, we've been browbeat. We've been told that we were just right-wing extremists and that, you know, we're no good. And these pent-up emotions, misplaced aggression was coming out. You know, it was venom. It was venting. And I immediately went to my people. I said, listen, we don't want one shot fired. Because one shot fired, it's all over. We have a bloodbath. You know, we got time on our side. We got all the time in the world. Let's just don't panic. Let's just, you know, collect our wits and just sit back and let's wait. I went to Metro. I talked to them. As I said, they were extremely professional, courteous. It actually surprised me. I don't remember. I remember Officer Brown, and there was another officer with them, and we had some really neat discussions. And then there was Officer Jenkins. And that's part one thing didn't make sense, because Gillespie had just told us. He had just told us that they're going to release the cattle. And I said to Officer Jenkins, I said, you know, just stand down and we'll do it ourselves. We just want the cattle, or honor your oath and help us. His reply to me is, it's not going to happen.
And yet Gillespie had just said an hour before that it was going to happen.
Yes. No.
This was a setup.
It was a setup. Communication between these people is not that bad, believe me. It was a setup. And we need to get the word out. We need to get the video out. You need to tell people are going to receive this. You need to tell everybody that you know, so that we can circumvent this for any future events and we can bring this to a head. I'm going to tell you what, folks, we need to get rid of Harry Reid. And that's not going to be easy. This guy knows every trick in the book. He's connected. We need to get rid of Roy Reid. We need to get rid of this element of evil that is in our state, that is willing to sacrifice.
And in our government.
Our government. But we're going to start with our state. But, these Harry Reid and the rest of them and Gillespie were going to sacrifice some of the finest young men there were.
Just like 9/11.
Just like 9/11.
Just like the SEALs in Afghanistan.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let me get in here, Brand. I'm going to finish this up. We're running out of time. I want to throw this out real quick. As you can tell, we're both exhausted. We've had 7 days, and we've maybe had 2 hours of sleep every other day because we've been taking care of security and things like that. I actually met, along with Pete Santilli, as eventually that video will get up. Not right now. That's out of sequence, out of chronological order, like I said these would be. The special agent in charge, Dan Love, there. And, I could say a lot of things about that, but I'm going to go back to what Brand said. These people were going to be sacrificed on the altar to take down what's left of freedom in America. And they were going to have that happen unwittingly to them by being killed by this militia group. And of course, the rest of us would lose our rights because that would be spun to make it sound like that our rights are something that we shouldn't have. This is master manipulation of an event. And at first, again, like I said, I was thankful to Sheriff Gillespie for this, but when I found out that there was this SWAT team and this MRAD, it didn't make sense. This man is evil. He's in cahoots with the most diabolical Luciferians on the face of the planet, including the Southern Poverty Law Center, okay, and the DHS. He sits on their boards. And this was designed to kill at least 20 to 30 Bureau of Land Management law enforcement officers. Sheriff Gillespie, I've lost all. I ran into you, 20 years ago? You probably don't remember me, but I remember you. You are an evil Luciferian, and it's really obvious now. I would tell more about my experience with you, but we'll just leave it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave this now. This is out of sequence. Like I said, it was something that bothered both Brand and I. Myself, from a military standpoint, there were things that weren't adding up. Brand from a very similar situation, but his from his heart and basic, judgment. We averted a catastrophe today, not because of our sophistication or our abilities, but because there was a God in heaven that knew that we were up against some of the most diabolical, as the book of Genesis and others say, the serpent is the most subtle beast of the field. My brethren in the BLM who want to be dedicated and loyal to your cause, I am thankful that you didn't lose your lives today, which you could have done very easily. Whether you're from our country or from another because you're contracted, at this point it doesn't matter. What matters is that God was watching over all of us, knowing that we were being manipulated by the master manipulator. Please rethink what you do, what you are, and whose interest you should really serve. And it should always be the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness of the people. We might have some more on this later, but I'm going to get this up right now. As I said, we're very tired. I'd love to go to bed. I would love to. The idea of being able to lay, and we're very hoarse, exhausted, actually. I've been in this situation before. They give our troops amphetamines and other psychotropic drugs, of course, to keep them going when they get like this, so that they can get every ounce out of them and then blame them for any mistakes they make. So forgive us for seeming like we're half asleep, because we are. But this makes sense. This is the revelation of the subtle beasts of the field trying to kill our brethren and sisters.